Hi, everybody. Dr. Heidi here, and I am here to talk to you guys about the Chinese clock. I am a naturopathic doctor. I practice out of Bailey, Colorado, and I get a lot of questions about what time of day should we do things, or I'll have people that wake up in the middle of the night and they're curious of why. And so the Chinese clock is a way that we can learn about what is happening in our body at different times of day, and we can utilize that information to have a better day for ourselves. So let's jump in and get started. Now, here we are with the Chinese clock. I like to start when we wake up in the morning, right? So most people are waking up here in between, 5 and 9 o'clock in the morning, let's say, depending on who you are, what you're doing, what your age is. So let's start with the large intestine. In Chinese medicine, the large intestine is also where the energy is going to enter from. So it's a good starting place, anyways. We're full of cycles. The world is full of cycles. Everything has a yin and a yang. Everything has a cause and an effect. Everything has an inhale and an exhale. So you can think about the large intestine as kind of this inhale, for the body. So if you can see here, what does it say? It says, wake up, release bowels, meditate. So yes, large intestine is the first organ that we want to think about in the morning. We should wake up and have a good bowel movement. If you're not having a good bowel movement in the morning, something might be going on with your large intestine. So something to think about. The next organ system on the list is stomach. So 7 to 9 a.m., this is when we should have a breakfast. Go for a little bit of a walk afterwards. But for my intermittent fasting people, listen here, because we're kind of doing it backwards. We're asking people a lot of times to say, just eat in this window of time. It doesn't matter what time that is. Well, I'm going to give you this idea that potentially we should be eating in the first half of the day, right? The first hours of sunlight is when we should be eating the bulk of our calories. Our stomach is active then. So what this Chinese clock is showing us is that for 2 hours every day, every organ system is active, and kind of only active really have a lot of chi or energy in that organ system for those 2 hours. So from 7 to 9 a.m., those 2 hours, the stomach is going to be active. So the stomach is the first organ that receives food. So this makes sense that we would want to eat our biggest meal of the day in the morning. The next one is the spleen. So in Chinese medicine, the spleen is kind of like the pancreas in Western medicine, where it's releasing a lot of the enzymes to assimilate that food. It's also the way of digesting the outside world. So are you thinking clearly, which is what it says here, but some people aren't thinking clearly in the morning, or just aren't thinking clearly in general, or aren't processing their outside world well. So that's the spleen that we want to think about in that aspect. Noon, so 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. around noontime is the time of the heart. The heart is joy. The emotion of the heart is joy. So this is the time to go with friends, right? Eat lunch, be social, be communicative, spread joy, spread your love. And then, exercising after you eat is always helpful to move things through your body. You might feel higher energy at this time of day. But, a lot of people who are intermittent fasting are starting their eating window around this time, which is not a bad thing, but you are missing out on the energy of the stomach that we want in the morning time. You're also missing out on the potential of having those supplements in the morning time because you're not eating breakfast, right? And some supplements need to be eaten on a full stomach, not an empty stomach. Okay, so moving along from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. is the time of the small intestine. The small intestine's job is to absorb nutrition. So after we have eaten our meal at 8 a.m., 9 a.m., we have all of this time. It's taking all of these hours just to get into the small intestine. So they say that we should have 4 hours in between meals, because 4 hours is what it takes for it to get into the stomach, to go into the small intestine. And in that little, it's not a very big anatomical area from the stomach into the small intestine, but the pancreas, the pancreatic duct, and the bile duct are in that small space, and they're releasing all the enzymes that we need to break down this food so that the small intestine can actually absorb the food that we just ate, or the nutrients of the food that we just ate. Digestion is chemical and mechanical. So when we're eating, right, when we're eating that big breakfast, we need to chew our food. Be a slow eater. Nobody is going to steal your food, especially to, the population that I'm mostly speaking to. We have an abundance of food. So we're not in this place of starvation. So when you're eating this beautiful meal that you've prepared, make sure that you're chewing it, mechanically digesting it. Have it in your mouth. There's chemicals in our saliva that are breaking down our food first before it even gets into the stomach. Then we have our hydrochloric acid in our stomach, our HCl, that's breaking it up even more. And then it goes into, releases from that sphincter and goes into our intestines, where the pancreas and the gallbladder have released their bile so that the small intestine can absorb that nutrients. This is a lot of energy. It takes a lot of energy for the small intestine to do this. So some people like to have a nap at this time. Now, if we come to the 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock, this is the time of the bladder. I find in my clinical practice that a lot of people want to nap at this time. If they don't get their nap in earlier, they're tired. And what I relate this to is dehydration, right? Bladder, kidney, those are on the water meridian. And if we're not drinking enough water, we're not going to have the conduction, the energy conduction that we need in order to think clearly, right? To do our job, to do chores around the house, to be active. Water is the universal conductor. So electricity is running through our body constantly, fueled by water. So even people who are tired, who are depressed, I tell them to drink water and those symptoms improve. Even weight loss. People can be struggling with weight loss and being told this is water weight, but if you drink more water, that water weight actually goes away, because we want the water to be in our intracellular space, not extracellular space. So we want to bring it in. So that's a good reason that we need electrolytes. So with the water that you have around 3 o'clock to 7 o'clock, maybe add some electrolytes. Calcium, magnesium, and potassium are your electrolytes. I like brands like Trace Minerals. They have some drops that you can put into your water that will, you don't taste it at all, but it gives you the trace minerals that you need. And water follows salt. So when salt goes into your cell, the water follows it. So now you have intracellular water, which hydrates you, which makes this electricity work faster, versus extracellular water, where it's in your bloodstream, and that causes high blood pressure, edema, pulmonary issues, cardiac issues, right? We want our water to get into our cells. So that's where cell salts come into play, which is a homeopathic preparation that we can talk about in a different video. And then also these electrolytes we're talking about. The kidneys is between 5 and 7 p.m. So a lot of people eat dinner at this time. I would encourage you to get out in nature. This is a good time to do some grounding. If you look at a picture of the kidney meridian, the first point of the kidney is right on the bottom of the feet. So grounding is really important at this time of day. Grounding is where you go outside barefoot and put your feet on the ground, the earth. Nothing other than earth can be touching your feet if you want to get the grounding in. There are ways to hack grounding, which we can also talk about in a different video. But to actually get earth-bound grounding, you want to be barefoot on the earth. If you're on cement, that's okay, because cement is rocks, and rocks can penetrate. The energy of the earth can penetrate the rocks and get into you as well. So that's okay. Sitting on a rock is great. Hugging a tree, sitting on a tree, putting your back next to a tree is really awesome. Just for a minute, let's talk about grounding. So grounding is this idea where we're having an ion exchange. So ions are little electrical particles that are floating throughout our environment. We can't see them with the naked eye, but they are charged particles. So we have a positive charge and we have a negative charge. We want to be filled with negative charge. Negative charges, negative ions come from the earth. They come from water, so the ocean, from trees and forests and things like that. Positive ions are coming from pollution. They're coming from Wi-Fi routers. They're coming from storms. So to anybody out there who's that person who can tell when the storm is coming in, oftentimes they give themselves the name of the human barometer, right? Like, oh, I know it's going to storm tomorrow because my joints hurt or my head hurts. You need grounding because you're having a lot of positive ions already in your body, and then the positive ions that come in with the storm are just inflaming your joints. And if you were to do more grounding where you're getting the negative ions from the earth to come up through your feet into your body, and then the positive ions of your body come out and through the earth, it's an exchange, right? Just like I said, we inhale, we exhale. We have positive ions, we have negative ions. We want to make sure that we're exchanging those ions. The kidneys in Chinese medicine is the source of life. This is where we get our jing. This is where we get our essence, our vital force from. So for any of you listening today, if you don't feel that your vital force is as strong as you want it to be, think about what you're doing between 5 and 7 p.m. Drink your water, take your electrolytes, do your grounding, be outside, and really support your kidneys in this process. Okay, let's talk about fire. So the fire meridian is actually on here twice because the fire meridian has a lot of organs in it. So we talked about it already with the heart and small intestine. We're going to talk about it again with the pericardium and the triple burner. So the pericardium protects the heart. So this is the time for, starting to wind yourself down and go to sleep. Remember, when Chinese medicine was really starting to, get popular and utilized, we didn't have a lot of electricity. We didn't have Wi-Fi. We didn't have this communication device that we're on right now. So we lived off the sun, and everything we did was based around the time of the sun, which is why we start our morning at 5 to 7 a.m. because that's when the sun wakes up. And that's when we should wake up. So same with ending our day around 7 to 9 p.m. is when the sun is starting to set. So this is when we want to start to inwardly look, right? Dinner should be done. It's bath time. It's time for reading, things like that. Now, if we move into the triple burner, this is our endocrine system. And endocrine is just a fancy term for hormones. So anybody out there who's like, looking for hormone support, which is so many of us right now, this is the time that you guys want to focus on, is the time of the triple burner. This is 9 to 11, and I tell my patients, this is bedtime. You need to be in bed and asleep by 11 if you want to give any support to your endocrine system. Sleep, or the bedroom, right, is meant for sleep and sex. I do not condone having a TV in your bedroom. I definitely don't think you should have a computer. If you're a work from home and that is your office, I encourage you to find a different place for your office and don't have it in your bedroom. What else about that? Bedroom and sleep hygiene. So cell phones should be charged in a different room. They should be put on airplane mode while we sleep. Don't have them with you. Don't listen. If you're going to listen to a meditation or something, or listen to a book, have it downloaded so that you're not streaming Wi-Fi all night long. Because that is a whole nother, thing we can talk about in different videos, but it's stopping your vital force. It's giving you more positive ions than negative ions. You also rejuvenate your ion supply while you sleep. So in bed at 9 o'clock, asleep by 11 o'clock. That's the rule for any kind of hormone issues. Now we get into my fun. I love talking about this time because this is the time the next three organs we're going to talk about are during sleep. So these organs are rejuvenation organs. These are detox organs. These are active while we sleep. So the gallbladder is, we talked about it already, right? It is what's releasing that bile and those enzymes so that they can break down our food so we can absorb our nutrition. But it is detoxifying from 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. So we want to make sure that, and this is where cellular repair is happening. We're building blood cells at this time. So we really want to be asleep so that the gallbladder can do its work. 1 a.m. to 3 a.m. Show of hands, right? On virtual, how many people are awake from 1 a.m. to 3 a.m.? It is phenomenal how many people are awake from this time. And some people are strictly awake from 1 a.m. to 3 a.m. Now, let me give this caveat real quick because I'm filming this in the summer. And in the summertime in America, we have daylight savings. Chinese medicine doesn't have daylight savings. So we could look at this as if it was 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. So just kind of know that when we're doing daylight savings time, it's a little bit shifted. So if you wake up at this time, your body is asking for energy. It's asking for support for the liver. The liver is having a hard time doing its job. And everybody knows, right? Liver detox. That's what we think of, right? Liver is detox. So if we are not sleeping at this time, we are not detoxing and we're not getting our biggest bang for our buck when it comes to sleep. If you're waking up at this time, you might be thinking, well, heck, I don't drink, right? Why do I have liver issues? Well, it's not just drinking. It's not just alcohol. Sugar is a big issue. And they, even in the last, I'm going to say 30 to 40 years, more liver issues are because of sugar than they are alcohol. They even have a whole new term for it, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. And it's more prevalent in America than alcoholic fatty liver disease is. So think about your sugars. The emotion for liver is anger. So think about that too. Why are we angry? What are we angry at? If you're a fan of the news, don't be. The news is just spewing us with fear, right? There's never good news. If there is good news, right, it's talked about for this little segment of time and it's never blasted, it's never breaking news, and it's never, the headline, right? The headline is always negative. It's always fear-based. And that turns into, anger because it's like, gosh, are we just living in fear? No, we shouldn't be. So, and if we can just turn off the news and look outside, life really isn't that bad if we just stay in our, in our space. So that's a lot about liver. So what do we do about it, right? Castor oil packs are my favorite. Go ahead and look at my video on castor oil packs, but they are a gentle way to start to move the liver. I also created a tincture called Liver Longer, and it has some really good herbs in it that gently move things through the liver. They support bile release. And every time you release bile, it's like you're cleaning the liver out. If you don't have a gallbladder, that's another story too that we can talk about, because even if you've had organs removed, the body still sees them as there. So they'll still be doing its work, even though the organ isn't there. So that's another topic as well. So then we go from the liver to the lung. So here's another, time without, daylight savings time, it's 3 to 5. With daylight savings, it's 4 to 6. And I get a lot of people that wake up at that 4 o'clock hour. What I feel, so again, it's the same as the liver. If you're waking up during the lung time, your lung is asking for more support. It's asking for more energy. So what I'll tell people at this time is do some deep breathing. Like, this is the time, get up, go pee, but come back into bed and really focus on your breath. Breathing practices are hugely important where I live at 8,500 feet in the air and on the top of a mountain, but breathing practices are important for anybody. In my handout for my patients on the first visit, I give them a handout called 100 Conscious Breaths, and talk to them about how breathing, we can trick our nervous system by breathing. We can trick it into thinking that we're running from a bear or that we're not. right? If we're having a panic attack, there's breathing, very quick, short breathing exercises that you can do to pull yourself out of having a panic attack. Or even if you're not calm and you want to just calm down, there's breathing we can do. But what if you are calm and you're tired and you're more of the depressed? Well, there's breathing that we can do to support that too and give you more of this energy and support in that. So lots that we can do with our body to almost trick physiology into thinking, things that we want to. Our mind is so important, which is why I like to educate people. Doctor in Latin means to teach. So as a doctor, I really feel that I am a teacher, and that's why I wanted to bring this to you today, because maybe just hearing this one time will have you think about it during these times of the day when certain symptoms are coming up. Or maybe you're the person that you're like, yeah, I'm always having these symptoms at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's always edema in my legs, or I'm always tired, or something like that. And so hopefully this gave you a little bit of insight in that as well. Um, I just want to say that again, I am a naturopathic doctor. I might not be your naturopathic doctor. So please take everything that I said today, as education and knowledge, and not necessarily as medical advice. Talk to your doctor. If you want me to be your doctor, we can have that conversation as well. But, I don't want people going and, changing all of these things in their life and getting issues because of that, right? You want to make sure that you're, being coached along with this. So thanks so much for listening. This was great. I'm glad I was able to do this today. Please let me know if you have any questions on this. And I'd love to, talk with you soon. Hopefully I'll be doing another video soon. Thanks everyone for watching, and have a beautiful day.